Part 5.
Abide.
Please abide by our rule that limits passengers to one carry-on bag and one small handbag.
Adhere.
If we strictly adhere to the conference schedule, there will be a full hour for lunch.
Endorse.
The labor union has not yet endorsed any candidates in the upcoming general election. Cease.
Julia said that if her immediate supervisor's criticism did not cease, she would quit her job.
Denounce.
Let it be known that the city denounces crimes committed with handguns in the strongest of terms.
Exert.
You will need to exert much more effort if you want to receive top grades. Expire.
Unless the Treaty on Patent Rights Protection is renewed, it will expire at midnight tomorrow night.
Exploit.
We must find a way to exploit the other team's defensive weaknesses.
Extract. Extract.
The dentist will extract my diseased tooth at my appointment this Thursday afternoon. Scribble.
A short note describing a counteroffer was scribbled at the bottom of the negotiator's fact sheet.
Infer.
We can infer the store is expensive merely by observing the fancy decorations in the windows.
Influence.
Several variables influence the size of the audience turnout at movie premieres. Interfere.
Skyscrapers interfere with television reception that relies on aerials as the source of broadcast signals.
Prevail.
In the end, justice will prevail for persons whose charges are not supported by evidence.
Proceed.
We cannot proceed with road construction until funding for the plan is approved by the legislature. Sacrifice.
Mr. Compton is rarely willing to sacrifice quality, even if it means saving money. Resist.
The criminal tried to resist arrest by running into a warehouse in hopes of losing the police.
Spread.
This disease spreads through bodily contact, thus making proper sanitation an absolute necessity.
Swell.
The insect bite made his skin swell and turn noticeably red in a 1 centimeter square area. Yield.
The vines did not yield many grapes this year due to the extraordinarily cold weather. Solicit.
Salesmen sometimes go door to door to solicit new buyers for their company's magazines.
Accommodate.
This hotel can easily accommodate large conventions with its many conference rooms and large ballrooms.
Confess.
The prosecutor's intensive questioning forced the criminal to confess that he had indeed started the fire. Pretend.
Let's pretend that we're fighting with swords, like the ones we'll use in the film. Eliminate.
His team was eliminated in the second round of the competition to go to the National Baseball Championship.
Collide.
2 cars collided on the expressway, and the drivers needed to immediately be taken to the hospital.
Divorce.
Brad and Nancy Smith got married that June, but divorced the following year. Postpone.
The board meeting has been postponed due to the sudden illness of one of the directors. Frighten.
The sound of thunder was so loud that it frightened everyone in the office.
Calculate.
The city calculates it will need 4 tons of salt this year to keep city streets ice-free.
Commence.
The conference will commence at 11 a.m. next Monday and run until Wednesday at 5 p.m. Penetrate.
Sunshine penetrates the clear plastic greenhouse to keep the inside warm during days that are cold. Deduct.
Each week, the company will deduct taxes and other expenses from your salary according to regulations.
Intervene.
The police were called to intervene when the family's loud argument upset the neighbors.
Emphasize.
The use of bright colors will emphasize how good-looking our new cars are. Abuse. Abuse.
Many people are unaware of how many parents abuse their children during their preschool years.
Argument.
The judge will hear oral arguments tomorrow in the high-profile personal damages suit.
Capital.
The firm is trying to raise enough capital from the sale of stocks to expand its operations.
Climate.
The climate in the mountainous regions is much colder and wetter than that in the nearby valleys. Coalition.
Some of the workers formed a coalition with student groups to protest animal testing.
Compassion.
People showed their compassion for those affected by the tropical storm by donating money to relief efforts.
Remark.
The president's remark about how dirty the office was resulted in a thorough cleaning the next day. Currency.
Visitors should change their own currency into the local currency when they arrive at their respective airports.
Interruption.
Telephone calls produce constant interruptions that make reception areas poor places to do work.
Insight.
Learning a foreign language helps people gain insight into the thinking and traditions of that particular culture. Drawback.
One drawback in living far from the city is the lengthy commuting time to the city.
Drought.
During the drought, people were told not to water their lawns and to use less water while cooking and bathing.
Excursion.
It rained on the final day of their excursion, causing a long walk along the river to be called off. Foundation.
Such musical exercises provide a foundation for the piano students to learn more complex works.
Institution.
The physicist who wrote this essay works for a local institution connected to a well-known college.
Defendant.
The legal team hopes to prove that the defendant is innocent of the charges brought against him. Disorder.
The infant was born with a mild mental disorder that required its parents to watch their child more. Intermission.
The audience cannot leave their seats except during an intermission, which comes halfway through the program.
Instinct.
Wild animals act by instinct, marking the borders of the area they live in.
Outbreak.
There was a sudden outbreak of influenza earlier this month that kept many students home from school. Principal.
The principal showed mercy on the students who broke the school rules and let them off with a warning. Pharmacy.
The pharmacy near the station provides a wide range of common medicines.
Politician.
The politician's dinner speech to the crowd of business people was long and repetitive.
Hemisphere.
Travelers arriving in Australia are eager to look at the stars from the southern hemisphere. Surgeon.
The surgeon operated on her knee to correct damage that occurred during the accident. Remedy.
Many home remedies for treating colds provide comfort for the person troubled by the illness.
Utensil.
This utensil allows you to pit cherries very quickly, thus making the pie much easier to bake.
Treaty.
The two countries signed a peace treaty yesterday, ending a disagreement that dated back over 100 years. Prejudice.
A fair trial cannot be carried out because of the prejudice people have from reading news reports. Sequence.
The sequence of the music program was decided based upon the speed and volume of the songs.
Heritage.
Many people take an interest in the heritage of their families when they reach middle age.
Faculty.
The faculty held a meeting to decide how to improve security at the school. Offspring.
The farm family plans to keep 2 dogs, but not any offspring those 2 dogs may have. Abrupt.
His abrupt retirement after 30 years of service surprised everyone at the firm.
Administrative.
Joan carried out her administrative duties well enough to be promoted to senior management.
Hectic.
It looks like tomorrow will be a very hectic day at work, with a huge bulk mailing that needs to go out. Ashamed.
He was ashamed to show his work on the advertising campaign because it had hardly progressed at all.
Bilateral.
We are trying to reach a bilateral agreement to open up trade in agricultural commodities.
Commemorative.
The commemorative ceremony marking the founding of the railroad will start at 10 a.m. Concise.
This is a concise description of the tour, including accommodations, daily activities, and meals.
Considerate.
It was considerate of you to visit the school to see how those 7 newly employed teachers are doing.
Tragic.
The shock of the tragic news caused her to faint right there in the airport terminal. Dense.
The Amazon is dense with various types of plants well adapted to life in the water-rich environment.
Eligible.
To be eligible to register for this free gift offer, you must be 18 years of age or older.
Equivalent.
The weight of the final exam is equivalent to 2 midterm exams or half of the grade. Extinct.
This animal was once thought to be extinct throughout the upper reaches of the valley.
Industrious.
We take great pride in our industrious workers, whose production rate is higher than those of other companies.
Furious.
Glenn was furious at Jill for embarrassing him in front of all the people at the party. Bankrupt.
The business went bankrupt after 10 years of operating discount grocery stores. Mutual.
In time, the 2 managers established a mutual level of trust that made running the store easier.
Outstanding.
The athletes' records during the year leading up to the national championship were outstanding.
Essential.
Speed is an essential element of success in the overnight package delivery business. Anxious.
The players were all anxious to start the game after the long delay due to the sudden downpour. Flimsy.
That cardboard box is too flimsy to hold all the books we need to ship to the Atlanta office.
Fiscal.
The company's fiscal condition worsened when the recession continued into its 2nd year.
Subsidiary.
Her role in the presentation was a subsidiary one to take care of the equipment and pass out materials. Confidential.
The owner made confidential remarks to his employees concerning operation of the store. Precisely.
The phone rang precisely at 1 minute past midnight and continued to ring for several minutes.
Unanimously.
The City Council unanimously approved the renovation of the 50-year-old City Hospital.
Furthermore.
The house was beautifully designed and, furthermore, was in a lovely area. Completely.
None of the students could completely follow the physics lecture, even though it was duplicated from the reading.
Thus,
the weather was quite rainy, thus the number of people in the park was rather small.
Practically.
In the last 2 weeks, the store has sold practically every single baby Susie doll it had received. Definitely.
The firm will definitely replace its full-size motorcycle with one that gets better gas mileage.
Nonetheless.
The meal at the restaurant was terribly expensive, but we enjoyed it nonetheless.
Enormously.
Supply could not match demand for the enormously popular compact disc that went on sale 1 week earlier. Drastically.
Sales go up drastically during the holiday season, with almost all sales made on credit cards.